The politics of opposition in Nigeria, a cycle of criticism and power struggles. No Nigerian president has ever performed well. This is the narrative consistently pushed by the opposition. In Nigeria's political or leadership landscape, two core philosophies dominate: winners takes all and leaders can never be right. However, this is far from reality. No opposition-led state has ever been denied its federal allocation unduly, and it is also untrue that no leader has ever made the right decisions. Where do the masses stand? The masses, for the most part, align themselves with these two factions, often adopting the same mindset. Here are a few examples. With the rise of social media around 2010, it became easier to spread narratives that gained traction quickly. President Goodluck Jonathan was the first Nigerian leader to face intense opposition fueled by social media. His challenges began in the 2011 election when northern political elites demanded power return to their region after Jonathan had completed the remaining tenure of his predecessor, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. Key figures like Atiku Abubakar and Muhammadu Buhari spearheaded the northern opposition against Jonathan. Despite Jonathan defeating Atiku in the primaries and later Buhari in the general election, the result was unacceptable to many in the north, leading to widespread violence and destruction. Throughout Jonathan's tenure, his opposition saw nothing good in his administration, just as his supporters refused to acknowledge any of his flaws. Like every leader, he made both good and bad decisions. But in Nigerian politics, the opposition tends to focus solely on the negatives to gain power. When Buhari took office, he was backed by fervent supporters who saw him not just as a politician but as a moral, religious figure who will govern with integrity. However, as time passed, liberals began to view him as an unprepared leader. Initially, his supporters urged patience, then shifted blame onto others, including his trusted aides and even the late Abba Kyari, whom they claimed was controlling him. Others blamed Senate President Bukola Saraki, even though he never rejected any of Buhari's executive bills. These excuses persisted until Buhari secured a second term. His loyalists only turned against him when terrorism spread throughout the north, mainly through his own ethnic group, and his inaction became glaring. Discontent further grew when it became evident that he was backing Bola Tinubu instead of another northern candidate. Meanwhile, the opposition refused to acknowledge any of Buhari's achievements, such as his infrastructure projects across the country, even in opposition strongholds, social investment programs, and policies that kept inflation relatively stable. Now, Tinubu. So far, Tinubu's policies have severely impacted the purchasing power of the average Nigerian household. While many hope for eventual stability, little progress has been seen. Despite this, his supporters, mainly from his own political base, consider him the best thing to happen to Nigeria. Meanwhile, the opposition refuses to acknowledge any of his accomplishments, even though he has increased the minimum wage by over 100%, initiated nationwide infrastructure projects, and revived the refineries, something past administrations failed to do. Final thought: opposition parties in Nigeria focus solely on negativity, not out of concern for the country, but as a strategy to seize power. Over time, we have seen all major parties in both opposition and ruling positions, and they often fail to uphold the very standards they once criticized. As a liberal thinker, I refuse to let my opinions be swayed by either the opposition or the ruling party. I take a pragmatic approach. If more people adopted this mindset, leaders in power will be forced to take us seriously. Follow for more. March 13, 2025.